The world's like one big amateur theater troupe. And I'm just a fish out of water. My dad's a financial mogul, but I can't even handle basic math. My mom? Total beauty queen. Meanwhile, I'm as plain as it gets. My brother? Started an art exhibit at age 4. I, on the other hand, was still babbling at his heels at 5. Even the housekeeper and butler? Former big shots. Thankfully, they all spoil me. So I made peace with it. Then one day, this internet-famous genius girl shows up, claiming I've been in her rightful spot. Finally, a curious part of my mind just gave in. Never felt I fit in here anyway. Dad's a finance giant, mom's a global star. But I'm just average. While my brother's a prodigy, thriving academically and socially, I chose to come to terms with who I am. Besides, things can't always go smoothly, right? Living my days lazily, until the genius girl came knocking. Turns out the nurse swapped us at birth. She's not wrong. I always wondered how I belonged. Clara came with all this energy. Bursting with confidence, she made us all pause. Dad's confused. Mom's deflecting. Poor bro. 3 years old back then, obvious scapegoat. Mom's rambling about baby toys that bro once wanted to share with a girl he liked. Clara's irritated. She jumps in, pointing out, "Look at our faces. You know we look like a real family." Touché. My brother's always been the one people fawned over, handsome, a chip off the old block. When it comes to me, just what a spirited little girl. Clara then goes on about our academic records, which hit close to home. Always been the underachiever next to my genius bro. A math book or two and endless tutoring. But yeah, I made school history of sorts. Taking a deep breath, I suggest, maybe just maybe, you're the real deal? That got them thinking. Clara? Still shouting her woes. I've wandered alone for 18 years. Things got tense. Becky from the shadows pops in with a suggestion paternity test. Simple enough. The month wait, however, throws Clara into a fit. She's demanding immediate results, but procedures don't care who you are. Spectators circle as Clara exposes her entitlement, but she just ends up in detention. 3 days later, she's back, demanding a taste of family warmth. Dad's aloof. Prepare a room, Becky. Clara was moved, claiming her rightful spot, throwing me a gleeful challenge. I'm making up for lost time. Turning away, I tried not to laugh. Family warmth? I grew up waking to vast, empty spaces and solemn breakfasts at enormous tables. My memories are marked by solitude, except for those weekend visits from my brother, house help and guard dogs. In my youth, I'd embrace the solitude, share cryptic thoughts on social media. More words than wisdom. Clara might be aiming for a fairy tale, but my adorable mom saw more entertainment. You said it perfectly. I also hope to make up for past regrets. You're so beautiful. I definitely want to doll you up into the most stunning little princess. A stunning little princess? Hearing that, my brother and I almost simultaneously stepped back, wanting to speak but stopping, then wanting to speak again. However, watching my mom pull Clara along excitedly, like a young girl, my brother and I exchanged a glance. Our mouths open then closed. I have so many beautiful clothes no one's ever worn. Finally, I found a model. It's truly wonderful. Mom, if you want, I'm willing to be your model forever. Really, really? Oh, you're so sweet. I'm gonna cry from joy. It's so good to have you. Clara was so flattered she lost herself. After a while, she glanced at me out of the corner of her eye. Mom, have you never dressed up my sister before? But then again, she's not your biological child, not as close as a real mother-daughter bond. Just like those 2 dogs in the yard. True love there. Only a real mother-daughter can be that close. Fake can never be real. Clara rambled on, getting more and more blunt. Look at how they lean on each other. It's like a reflection of our family. I couldn't help but point out. Both Big Yellow and Little Black are males. Clara's smile froze. Me. They've been neutered for over 10 years now. Clara's face turned all sorts of colors. But soon, Clara's expression became smug again. She got pulled upstairs by my mom, who was excited. Before leaving, she didn't forget to give me a challenging, victorious glance. She didn't notice the sympathy in my eyes. Good luck to her. Lunchtime. Still 4 people at the table. Me, my brother, my mom, and her, dressed up like a dopamine doll. Luxurious gown, fancy jewelry, tall hat. Not couture, just tall. I looked at Clara, who looked like she had a cake with 8 layers on her head, and makeup like a ghost of the Middle Ages. My sympathy deepened. Growing up, as the daughter of an international film queen, Mom always aimed to create the most beautiful doll. Unfortunately, my talents were average, and I was carefree, always making her give up on me. My brother, though talented, perfectly inherited Dad's financial mogul aura, using that look of his to defeat Mom's attempts every time. I knew, although Mom seemed to stop trying, she never gave up. She had loads of dolls and even ordered life-sized ones using Dad's name. This became a high society scandal once. As I snapped out of my thoughts, I looked at Clara, cinched so tight she couldn't sit, forced to stand and eat. When she picked at food, the 8 layers of cake wobbled. When she lowered her head, the powder on her face fell into her bowl. My brother, there's no Christmas. Are we setting up a Christmas tree? Haha. I usually don't laugh, but sometimes I can't help it. My mom heard it and got a bit upset. Doesn't it look good? Like a doll. She batted her pretty eyes. Brother, dolls don't need to breathe. She's about to pass out. Mom was a bit flustered. She looked at Clara with concern. But I don't know what already purple Clara thought, forcing a smile uglier than crying. No, I'm fine. Don't force it. I kindly reminded her. Yet she jabs back. You don't get it. A parent's love for a daughter is heavy as a mountain. This is not a shackle. It's an expression of their heavy love. As soon as she uttered the heavy love, the air cracked with a sharp sound. Clara's expression twisted, her body shook. Finally, with the weight of the cake, she fell backward with a deafening crash. What followed was chaotic. Indeed, parental love is as heavy as a mountain. Clara returned from the hospital as my dad got back. I watched her mummified, being escorted upstairs by my parents, and looked up, 45 degrees to the sky, deep in thought. Don't think too much, young lady. You've been here for 18 years. Becky stepped next to me, draping a blanket over my shoulders consolingly. I straightened, slowly turning to her with seriousness. Becky, I had an epiphany. The nurse who switched me and Clara, she was brilliant. Becky froze, her gaze complex. I raised a hand, placing it on her shoulder, continuing. She knew Clara and this house were incompatible. Becky's mouth fell open. She's only come back twice and ended up like this. Could she have survived growing up here for 18 years? There must have been a genius who switched me here to take the misfortune. After a few days at home, Clara finally noticed something was off. At dinner, she questioned me. Why do I only ever see you? Because it's not the weekend. I served myself some soup without looking up. On weekends, you get to see one more. Where are Mom and Dad? She was indignant. I took a sip of soup, pondering. Turkey, France, Tokyo, or Paris? Halfway to upset, she accused me of quoting lyrics. I shrugged helplessly. I'm telling the truth. After all, financial moguls are globetrotters, and national film queens travel across countries. But Clara couldn't take it, staring at me hard, and soon her eyes went red. Her pitiful look reminded me of Little Black when he was a pup. When I first picked him up, he was just as pitiful and injured, but a toy ball made him bounce joyfully around. That toy ball's been his for years now. If I were to give it to her, Little Black might get upset, right? I smirked, probing. Want to hang with me instead? Clara burst into tears. What method Clara used, I have no clue. That night, unbelievably, Mom, Dad, and my brother all came home. 5 of us, plus 2 employees and 2 dogs, crowded the living room. It was my first ever family meeting. Clara kicked things off. Dad, Mom, I want to be your real daughter. My parents exchanged glances. Got the DNA test results? Mom asked as she flipped through the calendar. Has time flown by that fast? Feels like I just left home yesterday. Dad, ever the cold type, frowned as he checked his emails. Didn't close a deal on the 3-month project? A useless planning department. My stone-faced brother. 3 days, 18 hours, 37 minutes. Both of my parents paused, then exhaled simultaneously. Clara looked even more aggrieved. Dad, I'm asking for a chance to take responsibility as a daughter should. Not like her, just wasting away her youth. Clara pointed at me. My brother got it. You want to be the successor? He spoke coldly, eyes narrow, staring at Clara with a knowing gaze that seemed to intimidate her a bit. Clara replied seriously, Equal opportunity for sons and daughters. I just want to share the burden and become a source of pride, just like my brother. Dad, please trust me. You've always been my role model. I'm determined to be like you. Give me a shot. I couldn't help but chuckle, quickly covering my mouth to stifle it. Ahem. Becky and Ken nudged me. I tried to blend in, keeping a low profile. Clara continued, recounting her years of loneliness and desire for belonging, with tears streaming down. My mom was moved. She's just looking for recognition. Maybe we should. Dad, still with that commanding presence, was frowning. Just then my brother spoke up. I don't mind. With my brother's approval, Dad finally relented. Okay, Ken, arrange courses for her tomorrow. Clara was ecstatic, shooting me a superior look. I hung my head and sighed deeply. The young one had no idea what she was in for. First day of arranged courses, Clara was in tears, looking at the stacks of books and workbooks that towered over her. It was overwhelming. Ken stood by, unfazed. Miss, starting today, we've hired top teachers from every field for one-on-one tutoring, all following the young master's curriculum. His learning pace was much faster. But don't worry, I've set up a systematic plan. You'll catch up fast. Today's courses include finance management, market analysis, planning, piano, the German, Arabic, Spanish, and astronomy. Wait. Clara couldn't take it anymore. Trembling lips, nearly crying, she clung to the last shred of hope. Why do I need to learn astronomy? Ken replied, in domestic management. Family's children are expected to be well-rounded and excel in everything. But she's just lounging around. Clara pointed sharply at me, potato chip in hand, watching TV. Surprised, I looked up and met Clara's teary eyes. I'm just chilling, I replied matter-of-factly. Clara's face turned beet red. From then on, Clara started her 5 a.m. routine: brushing teeth, breakfast, then an hour of Yangqin, an hour of German, followed by finance courses all day, piano breaks, until courses end at 10:30 p.m. She kept it up for another day. Her complaints about only seeing me at home turned moot. She now barely caught sight of me. No time to crave parental attention. She could hardly keep upright. Ultimately, it concluded with Clara fainting from exhaustion, a fractured rib worsening her injuries. She lay on her bed, pale and gasping. I stood by, offering what comfort I could. Nothing is too difficult as long as you give up. She glared at me, eyes burning. I offered her a spicy strip. She was moved to tears, unable to talk. Her chest heaved for ages, and all I heard were raspy breaths. My arm started to ache from holding it out. Just as I debated withdrawing it, my stone-faced brother returned. Bro, Clara sobbed upon seeing him. Her tears were even touching for a straight girl like me. But my brother acted like he didn't see her. Hands in pockets, he said the cheesiest thing in the coldest tone. To wear the crown, you must bear its weight. Clara was crushed. Watching her lay there lifeless, I didn't have the heart. I cleared my throat to lighten the mood. Why are you back? Game on. My brother was concise. I got the hint. But my reluctance was written all over my face. Just as I planned my escape, he interrupted. Hurry. My cheek twitched. No choice. Sisters are their brother's best servants. Even I'm not immune. Under his freezing stare, I resigned myself, put down the snacks, took out my phone, and nervously opened the game. Familiar match or randoms? Play safe or go all out? It was inevitable. Just as I opened the game, Clara's voice butted in. Bro, playing games? I'm good at it too. Let me join. In disbelief, I looked at Clara. If I could, I'd do an Erkong hand, shouting for her to stop. But Clara was already in front of us. Phone out, game on, smug with the playful game tune. Bro, I've got great stats. I'll help us win. I'm way smarter than someone I know. My hands shook on the phone. Seeing neither of us spoke, Clara's eyes welled up. Her voice choked. Bro, I'm also your sister, even if we didn't grow up together. Blood is thicker than water. I'm not trying to break up this family. I want to join it. Can you stop pushing me away? I listened, emotions swirling inside. 10 consecutive losses. I felt no waves in my heart, because I'm used to it. Years of being around my brother made me understand him deeply. On the outside, he seems cold and hard to get along with, but inside, he's cold-blooded and impossible to connect with. He's got a sharp tongue and a major flaw. He's unlucky, Seriously unlucky. You can't say his skills are off or his moves aren't right. But play with him, and you start with 10 losses. I chalked it up to his mouth, which is like it's got a jet engine. Every game he'd trash talk until his teammates quit, and the opponents went berserk. If you're missing motherly love, I can give it to you. No need to play like you're helping the other team, like you're their filial child. What gear are you using as support? A funeral shroud? Sprinkle some rice on the phone. Even a chicken would maneuver better than you. Are you paralyzed? Playing Yao, dancing on your own family's grave? The in-game Yao was scrambling across the map, lost. My brother glanced at the nightstand with a cold look. Clara looked like death. I quickly hurried out with my phone. I figured since Clara got yelled at today, he wouldn't lash out at me now. I knew Clara was trying to win over my parents and brother. Sadly, she failed. She messaged Mom, your new drama with the strong female lead is really brilliant. I wrote a 30,000-word essay online analyzing your character, highlighting all your shining moments. That piece became a target for haters. Mom ended up trending for all the wrong reasons. She cleaned Dad's study. Dad, I've been so diligent, studying the documents you left. I cleared out the unnecessary ones for you. Several critical projects fell through because of missing materials. She made lunch for my brother. Mango curry beef brisket. He's allergic to mangoes, curry, and beef, and ended up in the hospital. Detached Dad asked how long until the DNA results were out. Glamorous Mom said it had only been 1 month and 15 days. Expressionless brother claimed he didn't think he was that hard to like. I became convinced the nurse wasn't trying to protect Clara, but rather the rest of us. In a moment of clarity, the family decided that no matter the DNA test outcome, Clara would study abroad in Argentina. The day Clara heard, she cried hard, pointing indignantly at me. What about her? Aren't you sending her away too? My dad, Mom, and brother were puzzled. Mom asked, why would we do that? Clara was even more upset, stomping her feet. She's not your daughter, I am. With me back, shouldn't she leave? There can only be one of us. Mom looked confused. Kids choose, adults don't. Can't we have both? Dad icily stated, she's on our household register. My brother sarcastically added, the family can afford it. I was moved. I always thought I didn't fit into this family, but their resolute stance proved me wrong. As I was teary-eyed, almost crying with gratitude, I overheard Mom. She's so dumb and lazy, raised to live off us. How could she survive alone? We're responsible for her. My tears shrank back. I realized who my brother took his sharp tongue from. But Clara was still upset, insisting on a choice between us, threatening to cut ties if not. Detached Dad questioned if she was threatening. Glamorous Mom asked who'd model her clothes. Brother said it'd be one less to share the inheritance. Clara seemed frozen, didn't expect such indifference. She likely thought they would be unsure and torn. Only I knew better. In rich families, blood ties are thin. I once heard my dad schemed against his own brother for a position. We saw the nanny more than them, their career came first. So, I suspected Clara put too much importance on herself. Now she's the clown. A call from the DNA clinic brought Clara relief. The results were ready early. Dad, Mom, and brother took one car. Out of sudden kindness, I joined Clara. Unexpectedly, my kindness led to trouble. Clara and I were kidnapped by Becky. We were both stunned. My shock wasn't about the kidnapping but rather Becky, plain Becky, at 50, sweeping away 20 bodyguards with a spatula. I called her, tears forming. Becky froze, looked conflicted. Miss, I'm sorry, just following orders. Don't blame me. You're so skilled, age 10, running after brother, and couldn't get me a signed photo? Sorry, I had to hide my strength. Betrayers go to hell. Clara interrupted, are you crazy? Why is this coming up now? Back to Becky. Why kidnap me if you said I was the real daughter? Becky's face turned cold, glancing at the tightly bound Clara. Your dad caused my lover's death. I swore revenge, so I swapped you with my child. Waiting for the right time to reveal the truth, make your family suffer. You have no idea how long I've waited for this day. Clara and I were unusually quiet together. Clara had a wild revenge method. She went undercover as a nanny in her enemy's house, swapped the enemy's beloved man's child with their biological daughter, then waited for the right time to spill the truth, just to have the biological daughter return to claim her place. The world flipped in a way I couldn't grasp. I was hesitant. Becky, are you feeling even the smallest revenge satisfaction now? Just a teeny bit, a smidge. Becky snapped. She yelled at me. How was I supposed to know your dad's family wouldn't care about blood? So I kidnapped both daughters. Let's see who he chooses. The air went silent for 3 seconds. I gently reminded her. Aren't I your beloved man's daughter? At the moment Becky was speechless. My dad, mom, brother, and kin showed up. Don't come any closer. I've got bombs strapped to them. Becky's eyes drilled into him. Hatred from years pouring out. Your dad. He's vile, didn't spare even his own brother. If not for him, his brother wouldn't have been on that fateful flight. My dad frowned. You're avenging him? Becky, yes. I swapped your kids in revenge back then. The daughter you raised for 18 years should call you uncle. Unexpected, huh? You schemed against him. And yet you had to raise his daughter. My mom started to cry, panicking. The kids are innocent, Becky. Go after the people who hurt you directly. She pulled my dad forward. My brother shot back a glance. You're all about cutting the middleman out, huh? I wanted to laugh, but holding the bomb limited me a bit. So I continued. Becky, look at me. I'm the only trace of your man left in this world. Becky hesitated for a second, then her eyes hardened again. I can see you don't care as much about your biological daughter. You care more for the daughter you've raised for 18 years. So today, I'll end this in front of you. I'll make sure you live in pain forever. Becky said as she began to press the button in her hand. Hold on. At the last second, Ken spoke up. Wang Qing. Look at me, who am I? The world turned into a confused tangle. My parents aren't my parents. They're the true rich folks' parents. My brother isn't my brother. Becky isn't a nanny. She's an enemy of the family. Ken isn't a butler, he's supposedly my uncle by name, my biological dad by blood. When Ken unveiled the other face, I doubted if I'm a true materialist. The next minute, Becky shouted in disbelief. Ken was my uncle, my dad's brother, eliminated by my dad's scheme. According to my so-called uncle, he wasn't a victim of scheming. He just got sick of the family drama and faked his death in cahoots with my dad. Lived carefree for some years before returning in disguise, assuming Ken's identity, and became a butler by my dad's side. Becky was dumbfounded. So no revenge? None. Then what about my 18 years of scheming? Just you being lovesick. Kidnapping resolved. There's something more important. In the living room. So I'm your daughter? I looked at Ken sitting on the couch, or rather my so-called uncle, with a face even handsomer than my dad's under his mask. I didn't dare to get too close, feeling inferior all over again. Uncle, no, you're not my daughter. You're indeed your dad's daughter. My turn to be shocked. Right then, my brother brought out the test results, waving them between Clara and me. I clearly saw the matching line. 99.95% DNA match with your dad. You're my sister. My brother stated plainly, shooting me his usual disdainful look. Although, you really don't look like it. Becky, how is this possible? She couldn't believe it. I did swap the kids. She insisted. But I swapped them back. My uncle spoke up again. Mystery solved. Ken explained that after Becky swapped the kids, he secretly swapped them back again to protect Becky over the years, staying quiet. Clara, so I'm actually your daughter? Her eyes were full of disbelief and reluctance. Uncle, no, you're not mine either. Clara's face froze again. Uncle sighed. My wife cheated long ago, claiming a posthumous child to grab more inheritance when I faked my death. So whoever's kid you are, I don't know. But if you want, you can call me godfather. Clara looked like she'd been struck silent. Her eyes were wide open, lips trembling, until I couldn't take it anymore and kindly offered, go ahead, cry if you want. And she did. Wail. Becky was taken away by my uncle. Clara agreed to study abroad in Argentina. And me, I went back to living my lazy life as always. But the household atmosphere wasn't quite the same. Mom and Dad weren't out all the time anymore. And my stoic brother switched from boarding to commuting home. Less of Becky and Ken, but more than enough of Mom and Dad. Dad even organized a rare family cookout. I was puzzled. You didn't have to move back just for me. Stoic brother. We figured we've given you too little security. Me. It's not that bad. Brother. Don't think I don't know. You were ready to bolt before the results even came out. 6. I was stunned, staring at them and swallowed hard. You guys all know that I've secretly packed all my bags, ready to leave any minute? Actually, in our hearts, even if you're ordinary, we believe you're our biological daughter. My mom turned to me with a look of love I've never seen before. She said, I've never doubted it. It felt like something hit my heart. When Clara appeared, I was sure I was the fake one because I never fit in with this family. They seemed like beautiful white swans, and I was just an ordinary ugly duckling. Or so I thought. For some reason, my nose began to sting. Just as I was about to speak, I heard the man in the driver's seat start talking. After all, no family's luck lasts forever. I closed my eyes. Okay, that hope I held on to is dead now. The end.